Intercepted.
What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. Today, there's a fly in here. Today we are talking the brand new original film, Interceptor. Is this movie worth a watch? Let's talk about it. One Army captain must use her years of tactical training and military expertise when a simultaneous coordinated attack threatens the remote missile interceptor station she is command of. This movie stars the likes of Elsa Pataky as JJ, Luke Bracey as Alexander, and the rating is actually kind of shocking. TV mature for language and violence, but it's not the most mature movie I've ever seen. Maybe older teens would be okay with it. By the way, if you guys are here and you enjoy this content, let me know by dropping that like down below or just leave a comment. So, Interceptor starts out like any other action movie where we have our huge group of recruits. They don't expect something to go tragically wrong like it does, but it's up to one, maybe two people to defend this room and keep the bad guys out. That way, they can't shoot some nukes. It's big stakes here. And our captain here, JJ, she is in charge of this one nuclear missile interceptor base right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean after she had her dream job, but something went horribly wrong. So there is this backstory that we continue to go back to with our main character, and we don't know the full details at the beginning, but we can assume kind of, or close to what went down. And that's what was somewhat interesting for me with this film. Not only was she confronting this somewhat cartoonish villain who has this grand plan, but she's also confronting her past, what led to this situation, and why she's here in the first place. So a lot of physical stakes, but also a lot of mental stakes. So I will be honest, the setup, even though some of the dialogue was a bit up and down, I'm like, all right, let's see what we have here. Can you deliver on the action? Can you deliver on the dialogue? This is where the quality of the movie really started to drop off for me, and it just goes to show you could have an incredibly interesting premise. You could even have one or two action scenes that are entertaining, but if you don't have a good quality script and dialogue that feels as realistic as what this tone is going for, if it was supposed to be on the nose and wasn't supposed to be so serious and so dramatic, I would not be striking the script as hard as I am. But with a tone so dark, you have to have dialogue to match. And this movie, those two things just do not go together. They are drastically different, and the dialogue is so ridiculously cheesy. Not only do we get one-liners like, "I'm not a murderer, I'm a patriot, and tell my family I love them." I knew he was going to say that in that moment. I knew he was. A film has to be self-aware when they're doing these types of things. In the 80s, some of these classic action movies that we know and love, characters would say these one-liners, but they would feel so self-aware and work with what the tone was doing. In this film, everything is serious, and there are some extremely dark things that happen because this cartoonish villain is going to do whatever it takes to get into this room to launch these missiles. And he's done some things in his past to make people squeal, and at times, they say in the film, gone too far. So he's doing some really horrible things to our main character. And in those moments, I started to feel something, especially one where the emotion was actually really well done. But even in that moment, they would say things and characters would spout out a line or two where I'm like, you're kind of just taking me out of the moment. You're not paying off on the emotion because the dialogue is so lackluster, and the constant back and forth between characters would take 10, 15, 20 minutes where, you know, I expected an action movie, and when we would get the one or two action scenes in the film, they were pretty good, but beyond that, it's just a lot of banter. And if the banter's not good, well, then the movie's going to suffer because of it. And I just did not find the banter compelling. I just wasn't buying the tone. I also had some issues with the performances here. Our leads are compelling, even though our villainous character, the motivations there, I just wasn't completely on board with. But the supporting performances from the president to our main character's dad, And it may have been the script, but even then I wasn't feeling what I was supposed to feel. I was kind of laughing. And then something happens to one of those characters, but at the end of the film, they just kind of reverse that. So all of the emotions you may or may not have felt in that moment, well, everything's just okay at the end. So I'm like, I don't buy that. I know it sounds like I'm being harsh, but here's why. I really liked the lead performance, and I thought there were some good ideas in this film. Like I said, the stakes are massive, and those moments could have felt more tense if the tone matched for me. So before I give you guys my score, let me know your thoughts on this film. Did you like it way more than I did? And if you enjoyed this review, come back for more. Be sure you are subscribed. The fast-paced action scenes, while few and far in between, work well. Unfortunately, the dialogue does not match this dark and devastating tone. It continues to take you out of it. Like I said, I wanted this to go in a bit of a different direction. My score is a 38%. That's more disappointment for me because, again, I think there are things to like, and I feel like some people will inevitably enjoy this film. Let me know your thoughts. You guys the best. I am reviewing the brand new David Cronenberg movie later today, so stay tuned.